The moment I heard the sound, I knew my life had ended in a place far quieter than I ever imagined death could feel. A sharp, breathy moan, Rena's moan, slipped through the tiny speaker of my phone at 11:47 p.m. It wasn't the kind of sound you could mistake. It was raw, unfiltered, intimate. A sound I had memorized with my hands, my mouth, my ears. Then came the second sound. A man's voice, deep, confident, close enough that the MIC distorted slightly. Rena. My heartbeat stalled. I stared at my phone, frozen, the screen glowing with her name above the active call. She had dialed me by accident. Pocket dial maybe. Fate dial definitely. 7 seconds. Long enough to hear everything. Short enough to pretend I hadn't. Then the line went dead. In the silence that followed, I felt something inside me tear, quiet, humiliating, like fabric ripped slowly apart by bare hands. I didn't call her, didn't text, didn't move at all. I sat there on the couch, the living room dark except for the weak glow of the street lamps filtering through the blinds, and waited for her to come home like a man waiting for a ghost. When she finally walked in at 12:59 a.m., she smelled like lemon floor cleaner and cheap cologne. Not her perfume. Not mine. His. She leaned down to kiss me. I turned my head. A confusion flickered across her face. Hey, what's wrong? I didn't answer. Couldn't. My throat felt wrapped in barbed wire. She shrugged it off, humming softly as she went to shower. Water slammed the tiles. I listened, imagining the sound rinsing away someone else's hands, someone else's breath, someone else's. I swallowed hard, knuckles turning white around my phone. That night, sleep didn't touch me. Rage did. Fear did. Love did. All of them twisted together until I didn't know which one was eating me alive. By dawn, I had made a decision. I would find the truth, no matter what it cost. The next morning, I told Rena I had an early meeting across town. A lie that tasted too easy. She kissed my cheek and smiled in a way that made my stomach lurch. How long had she been able to smile like that after giving herself to someone else? I followed her car from a distance. She didn't notice. She never looked in the mirror. She trusted me enough not to imagine I could ever suspect her. When she parked outside her office building, tall, glass-sided, sterile, I parked across the street, watching from behind the tinted shield of my car. She stepped out, smoothing her blouse, brushing her hair back with fingers at once threaded through mine in the dark. Then I saw him, black security uniform, thick forearms, key ring jangling at his waist. He straightened the moment he spotted her approaching the entrance, and she smiled, not politely, not casually. That smile, the one that used to be mine. She touched his arm. Just a moment, just a brush, but enough to make something inside me twist until it nearly snapped. He leaned in, not suspiciously close, but close enough that my lungs forgot how to work. I stayed, hand shaking on the steering wheel. Ask her, confront her, demand the truth. But another voice, strange, cold, steady, whispered, watch, wait, pay attention, find everything before you strike. She disappeared inside with him. I stayed. 4 hours. My thoughts turned over and over like stones in a storm. Some were jagged, rage that made my vision pulse. Others, softer, dangerously hopeful. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe the call wasn't what it sounded like. Maybe, at noon, the truth ripped those maybe from me. She walked out with him. They were laughing. He said something, and she elbowed him playfully, a gesture I hadn't seen from her in months. They walked close together, too close, toward a diner across the street. I followed them inside. The diner was dim, warm, crowded, smelling of burnt coffee and frying oil. I slipped into a booth behind theirs, separated only by a wooden panel that couldn't block their voices. I hate sneaking around, she murmured. My heart stopped. Marcus, the name badge on his chest had said that. Lean closer. Soon. Her breathy laugh dissolved into my bones like acid. Does your husband suspect anything? He asked. Rena's fork scraped her plate. No, he doesn't have a clue. He trusts me too much. My gut clenched in a way that felt like falling. He chuckled, low and satisfied. Good. I closed my eyes. Something ancient and cold uncoiled inside me. She didn't hesitate, didn't stammer, didn't show a shred of guilt. Her voice carried no remorse, only the thrill of secrecy. I wish we could stop hiding, she whispered. He touched her hand. We will. I stood abruptly, the booth groaning under the sudden movement. I walked out before I did something unforgivable. Outside, my breath fogged in the cold air. My mind ran through every moment of our marriage. Birthdays, anniversaries, dinners, arguments, jokes, and each memory felt like a car collapsing in the deck of my life. Back in the car, I stared at my hands. They looked unfamiliar. Not the hands of a man who had been betrayed. The hands of someone becoming something else. Someone who wasn't going to scream. Someone who wasn't going to cry. Someone who wasn't going to forgive. For the next 3 days, I planned. Not vengeance. Not violence. Truth. Pure, undeniable truth. I saved the accidental call recording. Screenshot her late-night messages. Photographed her and Marcus touching, leaning, smiling too closely. I mapped her lives with timestamps and proof. Every folder I created felt like carving a gravestone for the life we'd built. But the strangest thing happened. My rage didn't explode. It cooled, sharpened, turned precise. Cold anger is the most dangerous kind. By the 4th day, everything was ready. Everything except me. Because the night I was preparing to confront her, she came home early, and she was crying. Her sobs echoed down the hall as she shut the door behind her. When I stepped out of the bedroom, she froze. Daniel, she whispered, I need to tell you something. I stared at her mascara-streaked cheeks, at her trembling hands, at the hair she had clearly raked her fingers through in panic. I think, she began, voice cracking, the security guard at my office. Marcus, he tried to kiss me today. Lie. I pushed him away. She rushed on. I told him to stop. I didn't know he felt that way. I swear, I didn't know. Lie. I didn't want to upset you. I didn't want to hide it anymore. Lie. Every syllable was a betrayal wearing the mask of innocence. I let her speak. I let her dig the hole deeper. When she reached for me, her fingertips brushing the air between us, I stepped back. Her voice broke. Say something, please. I finally did. Are you sure that's everything? She froze. Her breath stuttered. What do you mean? She whispered. I didn't blink, because that was the exact moment she realized. I already knew. Her lies were collapsing, and I was done pretending I didn't see. Her eyes widened, the color draining from her face so fast it looked like someone had pulled a plug inside her. She staggered back a step, clutching her purse as if it could anchor her. Daniel, why are you asking me that? Her voice trembled. What do you know? Instead of answering, I walked past her. Every step felt deliberate, heavy, echoing through the house like a slow countdown. I reached the dining table, pulled open the drawer, and placed a thick folder on top, the one with her name written across the front in her handwriting, ironically from our wedding planning days. She stared at it as though it were ticking. What is that? She whispered. My voice was calm. Too calm. Why don't you open it? Her fingers shook as she reached for the folder. When she flipped it open, the silence in the room thickened, dense and suffocating. Photos, screenshots, call logs, transcripts. Her infidelity dissected, labeled, archived. She lowered herself into the chair like her legs had given out. Oh, God, she breathed, eyes darting over every page. How did you? When did you? Since the night you accidentally called me, I said softly, though I doubt that was part of your romantic plan. Her mouth parted soundlessly. I watched her scan the cold transcript, the moment where her voice moaned into my ear, the moment she whispered another man's name. She pressed both hands against her forehead. Daniel, I can explain. No, I interrupted, voice still low. You really can't. She flinched like the words were physical blows. You were going to lie to me today. I added, that's why you came home crying. Not because you felt guilty, because you were afraid he'd told someone, because you thought I might find out. Her lips trembled. Tears spilled. but all I felt was an empty coldness spreading under my ribs. I made a mistake, she sobbed. Which part? I asked. The affair? The lies? Or the part where you told him I trusted you too much? Her head snapped up, eyes wild. You heard that? Oh, I heard everything, I said. Every laugh, every whisper, every goodbye kiss you gave him when you thought no one was watching. She covered her mouth as though she could shove the truth back inside. For a moment, we just stared at each other, two strangers wearing familiar faces. Finally, she whispered, Are you going to leave me? I studied her. She expected a yes. She deserved a yes. But revenge doesn't come from anger. Anger is loud. Anger swings wildly. Anger breaks things. Revenge is quiet, measured, controlled. Not yet, I said. Her brows knitted. W.H., what do you mean? You owe me something first, I said. The truth. All of it. She looked terrified. Not of consequences. Of honesty. Daniel, her voice cracked. I don't want to hurt you more. You already did. I leaned back. So now you tell me everything. Every detail. Every lie. Every moment. If you ever love me, you give me that much. And that was when she broke. Completely. She sobbed through the entire confession. The late-night messages that turned into flirting. The accidental touches. The empty conference rooms. The excuses. The guilt she buried. The thrill she chased. She told me everything. Not because she suddenly found integrity, but because she knew she had no other choice. When she finished, she looked like she'd aged 10 years. I'm so sorry, she whispered again and again, like the words could become truth through repetition. Good, I said. Now we move forward. She blinked. Forward? You mean we can fix this? I smiled. A small, calm, terrifying smile. Yes, I said. We can. Because you didn't need to know that when I said forward, I did not mean together. For the next week, I was perfect. The perfect husband. Attentive, gentle, forgiving. I kissed her cheek every morning, cooked her favorite foods, held her at night as though nothing had happened. I let her believe she was healing us. But every smile I gave her was a countdown. Every touch was a reminder. Every calm breath was the inhale before a storm. She didn't notice. She wanted peace too badly. The night of her company's quarterly board meeting arrived, mandatory for staff, encouraged for spouses. The same night Marcus was assigned to work security. She wore a navy dress. Elegant, beautiful, unworthy. You look amazing, I told her, and she glowed at the compliment, oblivious. We drove there together, hand in hand, the calm before the execution. The building buzzed with chatter, employees dressed in polished smiles and professional charm. I walked beside her with the same steady pace I had walked down the aisle with her. Then I saw him, Marcus, standing by the elevator with a clipboard, scanning badges. His eyes met mine. He froze. Good. Rena's grip on my arm tightened until her nails dug into my skin. Daniel, please, she whispered, panic flooding her voice. Relax, I murmured. I'm just going to say hello. Before she could stop me, I crossed the lobby. Marcus, I said warmly, extending my hand. My wife tells me you've been very close at work. He hesitated, then shook my hand, rigidly. Rena looked like she was about to collapse. I continued, loudly enough for nearby employees to hear. I hear you two spend a lot of time together. A few heads turned. Marcus's jaw tightened. Rena's breath hitched. I hope, I added, everything's been ethical. Silence spread like fire. Perfect. Marcus's grip on the clipboard tightened. Daniel, Rena whispered urgently, please. Oh, don't worry, I said. I'm not here to embarrass anyone. Both of them exhaled. Too soon. I already sent everything to HR this afternoon. Their faces shattered. All the texts, the photos, the recordings, everything. A few employees around us stiffened, murmuring. And, I added gently, a copy to the company's ethics board. Rena stumbled. Marcus's face drained to ash. The building suddenly felt very, very quiet. Daniel, Rena's voice was barely a whisper. Please, we can fix this. No, I said, stepping back. I can fix this. You can't. She reached for me. Her fingers brushed empty air. And I saw it, the exact moment the truth hit her. I wasn't breaking down. I wasn't falling apart. I was done. Completely. This, I said softly, is the last lie you'll ever tell me. Then I turned and walked out of the building. I didn't look back. Not when she called my name. Not when she cried. Not when her voice cracked into a sound full of agony and panic. Outside, the cold air hit my lungs like freedom. For the first time in weeks, I finally felt alive.